What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to a brand new World Cup special series here on the channel and live with all these brilliant people who are joining us as we record this today. We are going to be playing to the whistle. What does that mean? Well, let me explain to you exactly what that means. We are going to have a total of 6 3-minute topics, 6 1-minute topics where we are going to talk about things regarding the Rugby World Cup, the big talking points and the big moments that we think are going to happen. Today I'm joined by the main man Paul from New Zealand Sport Radio. How are you going, sir? Welcome back to the channel.
Thank you very much. And yeah, look, I'm half awake, so we've got a chance. We've got a vague chance.
It's me too. I've been awake for about 2 hours, but you know, that's how we roll around here. We are streaming this live, so if you wanted to take part, you could be like a live studio audience like the people in here already are, and have your say. Add a question or two or a comment and we can abuse it or tell you you're really smart, because that's how we roll around here as well. But this isn't going to be a super long video. The idea is that it's hard-hitting, fast and moving, so let's rock into it.
20 minutes into the intro.
I'm actually, to be honest with you, I don't understand. Since it's not recording, I don't have a time, so this could go for hours. Let's go. Number 1, 6 topics. I'm going first, and I'm starting it off. Let's start the timer. You can see it here. We've got 3 minutes. Let's go. It is the Rugby World Cup opening game. New Zealand and France going head-to-head in about 12 hours from when we're streaming this right now. This game's going to be huge. What I want to know about this one is the big talking points that's going to come out of it. For me, there's massive, massive talking points about the replacement positions. That midfield and that back row, and how the All Blacks are going to keep up with it. How are they going to compete with this extremely strong French team with players that have hardly played throughout the season? Two positions where guys haven't seen much game time. 2 positions where they've not played for the All Blacks. Hardly bar bench appearances, especially for Papali'i. And now they've got to turn up for a World Cup opener against France, the home nation, in front of a packed house after an opening ceremony. They're going to be having kittens. That's my quick thought. Paul, what do you reckon?
Was that 3 minutes? Oh my God.
No, no, that was 1 minute. I'm giving you 2 minutes of reprieve. We can go back and forth as much as you like.
Oh, I see. Look, to me, look, you're still like, this is a big game, yada, yada, yada. This game doesn't matter. And I'll be doing a video about the 6 games that do matter at this Rugby World Cup that actually decide it. This one doesn't matter. So, yes, there is a big problem because both France and New Zealand are missing players. So, so I initially went with the pick for New Zealand because I saw France's team and I saw they were missing players. I wasn't expecting New Zealand to be missing so many players. And you haven't even talked about the props and locks that are also missing as well. So this is a bit of a decaffeinated kickoff to the Rugby World Cup from a purist point of view. From a casual fan point of view, it's brilliant because you get to see a good game, and actually, you know what, there'll be lots of stuff that doesn't happen that they can roll out and pull out when they meet each other again in the final. So so no big deal.
Oh, he's harding straight to the final. I like that. We've still got time to talk about this one, so I'm going to carry on with it. You mentioned the props. That's interesting. I think the All Black scrum's going to get monstered. But you also talk about the French are missing props too. Cyril Bay is out as well. So they're missing their loose head. The All Blacks are missing their tight head. If we're talking about favourites, you may say it doesn't matter, but this matters massively, I think, for the French public. This is going to be a game that they're either going to get behind the World Cup or they're going to ditch the World Cup. And as much as being a New Zealander, we want to see the All Blacks win, I think this is a game that has more pressure on France to win because they need this for not only the team, but for the nation as a World Cup host to stay involved and to stay into the whole tournament. Whereas the All Blacks, like you say, they can lose this one and still qualify and make their way to the final quite simply without it. So I'm going with France for it. You've got 17 seconds to decide who you think is going to win it.
Well, I've already gone with New Zealand. The thing, though, that is going to be key for this game is that what we get to see, will the French team be lifted by being at a Rugby World Cup or weighed down by the expectation? That's the real key thing from this first game.
What a time! What an absolute cracker time. That was perfect. We can go over the time limit, by the way, if you like. But, hey, amazing. Nailed it. Like, literally last word and the whistle went. I love it. Great stuff. Okay, well, let's move straight on. Now it's guest topic number 1. I have no idea what he's going to talk about, but, you know, let's roll with it. Time is on.
Well, he started all serious. I'm going a lot less serious on this one. Controversies of the tournament. What's going to be the big controversy of the tournament? Now, look, the boring one to go with is the referees. Let's be honest. But look, are we going to have a drug scandal? That's what I'm. That's the main thing here. Look, it's something that is clearly in rugby somewhere, right? Quite what the level is, we don't know because very few professional players get caught, but a lot of amateur players do. Rugby is one of the highest doping violations in the UK, for example, at a lower level, right? Not at the top level. So, will we see that pop up? That would, because the French are very tight on this because of the Tour de France and cycling. So my surprise controversy for this, and in a kind of very unfun way, is we have some sort of doping scandal at this Rugby World Cup.
Well, that's very scandalous of you. That's extremely straight to the top of the law book. You know, I was thinking about this just when you said it. What do we have? 2019, remember we had a tsunami or whatever it was that blew through Japan and like wiped out half of a host city as well. So we don't want that to happen because that means people might get hurt. We can't go boring like referees and things like that. I'm going to go with an off-field incident that involves fans and players.
You're not going to go like Japan, where we had the referee who took the photo with the elbow with fans as a bit of a joke after he red carded the French player. We could have what if you're looking at some kind of fun off the field ones. We could have that. Other non-fun ones are which team is going to basically get taken out by COVID because COVID is still around. That's not gone.
No.
And we know that certain teams or certain countries have more anti-doping or religious kind of views on needles than others. So will we see one of those countries sort of suddenly lose all their players to COVID because they've moved across to a different part of the world and not used to all the illnesses? That is a possibility. So that could be another controversy where we lose a team to COVID and they just don't have enough replacements.
No, I'm going to go with the player and fan. Drunken incident. Someone's been knocked out of the pool before they would like to, i.e. Ireland. That's my suspect. They're going to go straight on the Guinness. They're going to meet some fans at the pub. There's going to be handbags, Jerry Collins and Tana Umanga style at the pub. There's going to be a bit of biffo. Someone's going to be recording it on a potato cell phone because, you know, that's the only way people record stuff. So it's going to be an absolute piece of garbage. And it's going to go straight to the media and there'll be massive, massive issues. That's exactly what will happen. And yeah, you heard it here first. Keep an eye on the news agencies, the referee.
So, are we looking at England Rugby World Cup tossing dwarves kind of thing?
No, they'll be back at home by the time it really matters. That's the limit. Oh, look, it's the timer. Buzzer goes. Oh, goodness me. It's perfect. It gets you nicely into the burn of it, and then you've got to change topics. Right, moving on. We're going for one shock at the tournament. Your biggest shock, your big burler, your big, wow, this guy's a clown. What the hell is he talking about? I'm going to go, my one, it's hard to really pick like a shock in this tournament because there's so many matches that are so close and there's so many pools that are so close as well. But if you want a shock, if you want a big thriller, I'm going to go for the Tongans to do something unbelievable. And not only are we talking about Scotland, Ireland, South Africa, we're going to talk about the conversation of Tonga, because I think Tonga is going to screw one of those three teams. They're going to be cruising. Scotland or Ireland are going to do the big deed. They're going to get that big win. They're going to be like, yes, we did that massive task that we didn't think we'd be able to do. And then Tonga's going to come along and they're just completely going to shit all over their party and destroy all their fun. Because that's the capability that Tonga team has for one special game. But who it's going to be? Take your pick. I'm going Ireland. They're going to poo all over Ireland, and that's going to be Scotland's ticket to the quarterfinals.
Wow, you're living on whatever you're smoking. We'll have some of that up here, please. But down there, look, your main one. You've got to look at actually Pool D for this, and it's look, England not making out of the pool again. That to me is definitely on the cards as a proper upset, having both Argentina and Samoa getting out of this group. And when we get Samoa and Fiji, two Pacific Island teams in the quarterfinals, that's a real possibility. So that's my shock of the World Cup, is that England don't even make it out of the pools. Some of you are like going, Paul, that's not a shock. We're all praying for it, which might be true, but let's be honest. Having two Tier 1 teams in, or two kind of, obviously Italy doesn't count because Italy never make it to quarterfinals, but to have two teams like England and either Wales or Australia both going home early, that would be that's a big shock to see two of those big names missing.
Jack says you're having a laugh if you think England don't go through. I couldn't disagree with him anymore, but I don't see England not going through as a huge shock. It's a bit like saying that Scotland are going to go through. I mean, if you look at the odds of this, which I was earlier, Scotland aren't actually playing that much to make it to a quarter-final, which I think is quite amazing, considering that it's a pretty lengthy sort of... they've got to have that steamer against either South Africa or Ireland, don't they? They've got to beat one of them to make their way through, unless my first prediction comes true, where Tonga is just going to crap all over someone's parade, and they may sneak through that way. But I think it's pretty long shot for that to happen. They're only paying about $3 something for them to actually sneak through to the quarterfinals. So I don't consider that too much of a shock. I think everyone's praying for England to lose out, and I think their game, you talk about the Fijians as well. They're making the quarterfinals. It'll be a surprise, but I don't really consider that would be a huge shock. Not compared to the way Tonga's built up. You could even throw in Japan as well with that. Japan toppling over someone would be a bit of a shock, I think. Probably more so in the last two World Cups, because their form leading into this has been god awful poor. So if they could turn something around, that would be a shock.
Their win over South Africa was a massive shock. Their win the next one wasn't, and that's the whistle. It's gone.
Perfect timing. Love to see it. There you go. We can't talk about that one anymore. Let's move on. Next topic. It's Paul's turn. It's the guest topic.
So who is the most important player to their team? Is what I'm going with this one. So what's basically, who is important to their team, but not just that, what's the drop off to the next player? So a lot of viewers go, Dupont is the most important player to the French because the drop off to him. But I think actually and historically you'd always go Sexton is the most important player to Ireland, because the drop off to them is massive. And we also were talking lots of fly halves here, but on that one, you've actually perhaps got to go to someone like Australia because of the crazy ass selections that he's made, and there's an argument that Carter Gordon is the most important player to any team in this Rugby World Cup, because he's the only fly half in the Australian team. So I'm going to say Carter Gordon is actually the most valuable player at this tournament for any team.
Interesting. It's very interesting, because they've actually selected the guy that can play 10 for the opening game, Ben Donaldson, at fullback for their first matchup. So it's a bit like, well, if he is their backup plan, there's a high chance that he may go as well. Look, if I was going to go, I think someone who could really completely fall apart one team's massive plans to do well at this tournament, I'm going to go to Scotland. I think a player like Jamie Ritchie is going to be a catastrophic loss for a Scottish team who have big ambitions, massive ambitions to upset and turn their fortunes around at a Rugby World Cup and actually do some success. But an inspirational leader, a fantastic player, and a team that I think if they lose a guy like him will lose hope. You could say Finn Russell will be in the same boat, but he's just a fantastic player. I think a team without a leader is a team that's a bit like a headless chicken running around the park. Not many clues and ideas of how they're going to play their game. So he would be mine. I think he is incredibly crucial for their team. And another one, I think, if you're talking about the big guns, would be Khaleesi for South Africa. I think with him in the team, he is magnificently inspirational for that side. He builds that team up, and they're a better team with him in the paddock.
And there's definitely I was going to mention him since he went down leadership routes. But the player that could be the most important one may have already gone home, which is Caleb Muntz for Fiji.
Indeed. And
we'll see quite how important he was for them in the build-up. And by him going home, does he basically ruin, or has not him ruining it, but has Fiji's chances been ruined by him going home? We'll have to wait and see on that one. Not very long though. It's that Welsh game, isn't it? On Monday, New Zealand time.
If we've got it, last couple of seconds, we're going to keep this New Zealand base. Richie Mo'unga. If he goes down, oh, we are in trouble. But that's time on that one. That flew by really, really fast. My next topic is the letdown. So I'm not giving too much away on this one. But this is the biggest letdown of the Rugby World Cup. And you've kind of stolen my thunder a bit, because for this one, I was going to England. I think England are going to be the big letdown, a Tier 1 nation. They've kind of spoiled this party a little bit and spoiled the surprise by going, and losing to Fiji a bit earlier than intended. So they've given everyone a bit of a head start on dumping on them. But yeah, a previous winner of the Rugby World Cup, coming into this, they look way below expectation. And I can't see them going through that group stage. Everyone will be like, what the hell happened to England?
No, the biggest letdown is going to be the semi-finals, because we already know that basically there's 4 teams who can win this Rugby World Cup effectively. Those 4 teams meet each other in the quarterfinals. So we have basically got semi-finals a week early, and the quarterfinals end up being a cruise through for 2 teams to meet together at the finals. So the biggest letdown of this Rugby World Cup, and actually the biggest fun of this Rugby World Cup, but most of the talking points at the same time, is the draw and how the teams have been drawn, and that you've got the 5 best teams in 2 pools, 1 going home early. I mean, the jeopardy is really there at this Rugby World Cup, which has been missing at other World Cups, let's be honest.
I was trying to think of who the biggest letdown player is going to be. Have you got any thoughts about that? If we're going to have a guy who's really going to promise a lot and deliver very, very little for their side?
Well, I mean, some people might argue Damon McKenzie has been let down already. That he's not stepped up as that backup fly half that they wanted. But I mean, Lebock could be that one, couldn't he? That with his kicking has been a bit hot and cold. So could he miss that crucial kick that sees South Africa lose to Scotland? And on the flip side, you've got players like I've just gone blank. The Scottish fly half Russell, also is a rocks and diamonds kind of player, isn't he? He could create a bunch of tries, but also give away one as well. So that could also be the big letdown, or perhaps the big letdown is this whole bunker, and that we end up with hour-long halves and games that take an extra 40 minutes that rather than what they should do.
We've got a suggestion in the chat here saying the biggest letdown is the Rugby World Cup shows, the build-up, the media going into this Rugby World Cup. Any thoughts on that? I think it's interesting because I don't think it's been as big, especially by mainstream media. I think it's very prominent in like us useless saps talking about it, and we see a lot of people doing it now for the Rugby World Cup. I think that's grown a lot. But mainstream media, I don't think, I kind of agree that it's a bit... it's been a bit lackluster. They've not probably built up the hype, especially from a New Zealand perspective, as would normally see at a Rugby World Cup.
That's because they're all paying attention to Up the Wars, as the Warriors are grabbing all of the sort of sports media attention with their fantastic year. But they've got 3 years to go, which means that wet whistle's gone. So 3 weeks to go, and then we'll be into World Cup fever.
You can always finish your point. You always finish your point. They have to flow through straight away. But yes, a lot of potential letdowns. Our final topic for our 3-minute topics, Paul. This one's yours. Go for it.
I was going to have a player of the tournament. Who is going to be the player of the tournament? Are we going to see a Red Randa from like a Fiji or something be kind of that like the standout player rather than the official player of the tournament, which will obviously go to the winning team, or is this really going to be the time that Anton Dupont says, I am the best player, or I am the best scrum half there has ever been, by winning his home Rugby World Cup? I mean, that would be that would be fantastic. Does he put himself down in history by sort of going under the post to win the Rugby World Cup? Who is your player of the tournament? But let's. I think it's all set, isn't it, for Dupont to a lovely platform and to be that and to really set himself in down in history.
Yes, weird players of the tournament, like official players of the tournament, generally go to captains, back rowers, or fly halves and leading try scorers. So you kind of limit yourself. I don't think you're ever going to see a loose head prop picking up player of the tournament regardless of how outstanding he's going to be. So, yeah, you got Dupont's best player. I'm thinking guys that can not only become leading try scorer, but also do key roles for the team. Like, we're talking France, I'm talking like a guy like Ramos, the fullback, who does a lot of that goal kicking, that pinnacle sort of stuff that can win and lose games, but also a key attacking weapon as well. So not only is he going to get kicks, not only is he going to be prominent in attacks, but he's also going to score a lot of points as well through tries, given the opportunities. I think he's going to be a key guy, but generally I think you're looking at fly halves and the style and the games that they can play, or your back row captains, your Khaleesi's, your Richies again, if we're going back to that sort of guy. I mean, even as much as people will hate it, if the All Blacks win the World Cup, a guy like Sam Cane, provided he's injury-free and makes it to the end, is still going to be in that picture because of the leadership and the position he has in that side. But someone's got to make it to the final to be in that situation, and I'd either go back row, a 10 or an outside back. But yeah, my pick, if I was going to pick one right now, it would be Ramos from France to push it through and do all that sort of stuff. Yeah, chat hates Sam Cane. The chat's put the boot into Sam Cane already on that one. But yeah, definitely limited and only for the superstar players, and it's going to depend, like you said, who wins this Rugby World Cup as to who is going to go and take that crown away. But yeah, you get
so the official one, if South Africa win, it's Sia Khaleesi. If France wins, Dupont, for my mind. If it's New Zealand, then it's either Richard Mwanga or Ardie Surveyor, I think is the other one there. And if Ireland win it, it has to be Sexton, surely. Or maybe it ends up being, I've gone blank, the guy with the South African name who's actually Irish.
Klein?
He was World Player of the Year, the Ireland player. The Flair. So yeah, one of those two.
Who's not playing in the opening game. Great. Thanks for ruining my fantasy team, Ireland. Thanks. You've already had to make me do 4 changes just from selecting the teams, which we've already gone through this morning already. But that is us for our 3-minute topics. We go back to the start.
Ireland are playing bloody Romania in the opening game. Of course, they're going to be rested. They're not playing their first
points, man. Team. I want points. That's all I want. I just want to get points. And I want to be top of the table. And now we've got to go down to a 1-minute timer because we've got 1-minute topics. And I've gone too far up. And here we go. Starting things off. Let's roll. 1 minute, quick fire, flash in the pan. Let's go. Refs or injuries? What's going to have the bigger impact on this tournament? And as much as I would like to say referees, I think it's going to be referees. Injuries are going to hurt people, but I have to be controversial, and I do think the referees are going to ruin someone's Rugby World Cup. They're going to pull, what was that guy's name, Jabir, who gave that penalty or non-penalty away to Scotland and Australia and then ran off the paddock. We're going to get you talk about controversy, we're going to get some more of that, and I think refs are going to dominate it.
Injuries, sorry, but there's so many teams. You've got your South Africas or your Islands who've got sort of depth, but so many teams are good first 15s. But certain positions, every team is shallow in one position, and so injuries is going to knock one of those top 4 teams for 6.
It's crazy, isn't it? Because a referee can make the same impact. A suspension, 4 weeks. Poof. What's that going to do to your Rugby World Cup? It's going to absolutely put it in tatters. Bang, look at that for timing. Right, topic number 2. Yours, go.
Game of the opening round weekend of things. Clearly, the South Africa Scotland has got to be the game that you can't miss. Unfortunately, it's at 3:45 a.m. Monday our time, so it's an early start for those of us that want to watch that game. But that's actually a key game. You can't miss this opening weekend. Is my argument. All the rest don't really matter this opening weekend. Enjoy the ones you can, but you can afford to miss them. That's the one you have to see.
You can afford to miss Fiji versus Wales. That's my must-see game of the opening weekend. Fiji versus Wales, literally the quarterfinal spot on the books. Fiji win this, they can dump Australia. They don't really care, provided Wales don't beat Australia, which will really put a bit of a mixer into them. But if they get off the mark hot, they get off the mark well, this is the one that's going to platform, catapult the Fijians. Not only confidence, imagine the bus then. Oh, they'll be singing some true rhymes when they get back on there. But yeah, that's my one for Fiji to get that one in there. Yeah, Argentina beating England is someone in the comments saying as well, which is going to be a massive, massive opening game of the weekend. Next topic, let's roll. North versus South. Who's going to have the better Rugby World Cup? It's almost like talking away from teams and going collective. It's the big one of the South Africa, New Zealand, Australia, Argentina versus France, England, Ireland, Wales, Scotland, all those other nations. I think out of the end of this one, I think the Southern Hemisphere is going to come out better. I think you'll get maybe one or two Northern Hemisphere nations that can hold their heads up high, but I think the South is going to be the ones that get to the better stages of the World Cup.
No, I think this is the World Cup where the North has to stand up. They've had two teams in that that top echelon in Ireland and France, as the Wolf Gamer says in the live chat, Georgia to upset the Aussies. So hence the North are going to have that one. But the North, let's be honest, the North are rocks and diamonds, right? You've got your Ireland and France who are going well, Scotland to a lesser degree, and everyone else having a shocker.
Moving on, next topic, 1 minute. Who's going to get the most cards for the Rugby World Cup? I know this one is probably pretty easy and pretty simple who you think is going to get it, but as much as I would like the Argentinians to do well, I think a few of them are going to see a bit of time on the sidelines. But we're going to see a lot of cards. I think we're going to see a lot of red cards. We're going to see a lot of yellow cards. We're going to see a lot of players suspended, like I was talking about earlier. So it's going to be plenty of time for those officials in the little box to sort their stuff out.
I mean, Argentina is, but look, we've seen good discipline from a Fiji, but look, are we going to see a Samoa or a Tonga just get frustrated and end up on the wrong side of the cards as well? So that's that would be my second guess as to who's going to pick up the most cards. Is a Tonga is going to be up against, is going to get frustrated against an Ireland, South Africa and Scotland, three really tough teams, and therefore pick up a whole bunch of cards there.
We have a suggestion for your final topic in the live chat, which I think is quite good. And I'll let you roll with it. Top try scorer? Where's that going to come from? Who's it going to be?
Pinot from France.
Oh, you bugger.
Stolen yours. Is top try scorer there. Followed up closely behind by Will Jordan. Is the other one, or Malcolm Marks. Let's with the old line out mauls. If you let South Africa get in your own half and you give a penalty. So yeah, that's top three, and you have to come up with someone different.
No, I was going to go with Damien Pinot as well, but I might, just because you mentioned him earlier, I think Semi Radradra might go pretty well for the Fijians as well, and that midfield with Nice Saliva, I think they're going to be pretty devastating. But I'll throw a left field one out there, someone that's probably not going to make it too deep in the World Cup, but it's probably going to score a boat ton of tries against teams in his pool, is your favourite player, Mark Nwangari-Tawasi. I think he could be quite a good one as well, so we'll see how they go for the Aussies. It's an interesting one if they get some tries on the board. And I do have one more for you, which we can rock back to your poor topic choice at the top here. I'll go with this one first, but we'll reset the timer.
No, look, your try scorers, because Australia have got some tough games, whereas France have got Uruguay and Namibia to really harvest those tries if they play their top string people.
Final topic of the day. We're going back to your recycled topic from before. We'll check on the timer. We know. Go timer. Narawa is injured. That means the All Blacks have got to call someone up. Now, there's a lot of conjecture already about who this is going to come from, whether it's going to be another outside back or another back rower. And I'm sure you've got a lot to say about this one. But for me, Blackadder, get him on the phone. He's played a couple of times for Tasman. Get him over to France. They need that cover in the back row.
Boy, oh boy, that's an interesting one there. But is really, really tough on Finau, who's been part of the whole setup all the way through. And he's already there. He knows all the calls. He knows he's been through all the training. And so I think you're going to take one of those players that they've brought with them, and that does start to leave them. Actually, I think that probably leaves them okay in the backs there. The other one, I would go for Jack Goodhue, because I think you're going to, and then push Rico out onto the wing if you need wing cover. But for that one,
Wolf in the chat says we need another 10 and a 15. Oh, we don't need another 10 and a 15. That's why I agree. Yeah, a good point about Finau, but if it was me, Blackadder would have been in my mix straight away, right from the start, going in from there. But that's all the topics we got, and that's about all the time we've got, because it is quick fire, hard hitting, into the action, play it to the whistle. The whistle was gone. Here you go. Once more, just for the road. There it is. That means it's the end. Thanks, Paul, for joining us. Heaps of topics to talk about. If the people like it, if the people enjoy it, we'll bring it back next week in the gap between games through the middle of the week. Plenty more questions coming in there if you want some ideas for other topics we should talk about. But for this show, it's been fun. It's been exciting. The World Cup has got less than a day to go, and we'll be seeing you around for plenty more. Thanks for joining us, Paul. Any final comments you'd like to make before we probably won't talk again until the World Cup's underway?
That's true. I will be doing a video out today for my Patreons only, saying the 6 games of the Rugby World Cup that matter. All the rest won't decide who actually wins or loses it. It's those 6 games. So go and so I'll be putting that out later today on my Patreon. So patreon.com/NZ Sport Radio.
Easy cheesy. Thanks everyone for talking goodbye. Thanks to all the guys in the live chat trying to cut up some extra comments and ideas and thoughts and comments. We'll be noting them down for a next episode if we do one next week. Middle of the week sometime before the second round, as they would call it, of fixtures. Until then, thanks for watching everyone. Take care, and we'll see you for plenty more playing to the whistle. Bango.
Oh, missing you already.